Hi, this is Patti Miner, and I'm here today to talk to you about dieting tips. Common sense, truth bomb dieting tips from back when I owned a model and talent agency, and I used to train my models so they could be thin and not have to go on these crash diets or have cosmetic surgery. So I have never had cosmetic surgery, and I don't actually recommend it unless it's needed for a difficult situation or a real big problem. Anyway, I really believe that the first thing that we need to realize is portion size. I guess, as Americans, everything is supersized and everything is large, and they give us huge portions when we go out to eat. My husband and I share a meal all the time because they give us enough for two people. Anyway, your stomach is only the size of your fist. So if you'll make a fist, look at that and realize how big your stomach is or should be. If we eat too much, it stretches bigger, and we need to eat less to let it go thinner. A lot of times when they put you on a fasting or a liquid diet for a few days, it helps to get the stomach size back to normal so that then you can start eating correct portion sizes. They also did, and I don't have all my facts correct, but I absolutely know this to be true because I studied it a lot back in the 80s and 90s when I owned the model and talent agency. So these are not new to principles. These are very old principles. But they did a study with rats. Of course, most of the studies in the scientific labs are with rats. And they had one group of rats that they gave the same exact amount of food for the daily dosage in one serving, once a day. They gave everything they were going to eat that day, one serving, once a day. The next group, they gave 2 servings of the same amount of food. The next group, 3 servings, 4 times a day, 5 times a day. So the first group, they had the exact amount of daily dosage food that they were going to eat, and they only let them do once a day. The second group, 2 times a day. The next one, 3 meals a day. The next one, 4 meals a day. And the next one, 5 meals a day, which, you know, we usually say 3 meals and 2 snacks. So the studies showed that the 1 meal a day people not people, but rats, the 1 meal a day rats became huge, large, big. They were grumpy, they were aggressive, they were mean, they were frustrated. You could tell they were just angry all the time, and they'd snap and get mad, and they didn't feel good. The 5 meals a day were slim and tiny, and their coats were shiny, and they were happy, and they lived longer. So obviously, we should have more portions a day and be grazing throughout the day, at least 5 times a day, for a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit here, so our stomachs don't stretch to a huge, enormous size. So realize that your stomach, be aware of the portions of chewed food. This size should be that amount. The other thing that we should do is chew our food 20 to 40 times in the mouth before swallowing. Most of the digestion is in the mouth. The saliva glands help you to digest the food, and a lot of the stuff goes into the bloodstream and starts working right away. A lot of our things are sublingual, and you should be chewing your food 20 to 40 times a day. I had a grandson that I told that to, and he goes, "Grandma, I just can't chew any more than 20 times a day, 20 times for each bite." So at least if you can start realizing that you need to chew more. Many times we chew twice and swallow, or 3 times and swallow. That is so bad for your digestion and your health and your food. You don't actually get all of it into your system. Okay, the other thing that I used to teach, and I know that there is a variety of information about this, so I know that it could be a little controversial, but if you're having digestion problems, this could be a situation. And I used to teach this back in the 80s and 90s for my modeling class, and it worked for them. So a lot of times, many of them were saying that they would have stomach aches or that they weren't happy with their tummy because it hurt. And I would explain these principles of food combinations. eating foods with the right foods. Now our systems are set up to multitask and to divide and conquer. So if you eat steak and potatoes and all of the different things, it's set up to do that. But as we get older, many times our digestion systems gets bogged down or stopped or has problems. And so food combinations are very important. I have a chart here that I have found, and I'll hold it up right here. Okay, you can eat vegetables with protein. So to be able to order salmon or to be able to order, have beans or something, if you have protein with vegetables, they are very easily digested together. So that's a very good food combination for one of your meals. The other thing is to eat starches with vegetables. That is a very good combination. If you have like potatoes and broccoli and cauliflower and whatever, also lightly steamed vegetables are easier to digest than raw. So even though raw is really good, but you have to chew it extensively more. Remember that if you do eat raw, make sure you chew it more. And then the other, sorry, I'm getting messages, hi. Anyway, so then the other is important that you food combine like your starches and your vegetables. So if you can have like broccoli and potatoes, and the proteins in the starches are not as good as a combination. If you have meat and potatoes, or meat, and here's a lot of the starches are brown potatoes, russet, new potatoes, Idaho. All the grains are whole wheat, brown rice, breads and cereals, sprouted grains. Starches are artichokes, lima beans, the root vegetables like carrots, parsnips, jicama, beets, yams, squash, winter squash, acorn squash, and pumpkin squash. Those are considered starches. And you can eat those with green beans and corn and peas and peppers and eggplant and asparagus and spinach and radishes and Swiss chard and squash and all kinds of different vegetables, okay? The same with the proteins. The proteins are like lentils, like beans and peas, green, filled, and chowder, the soybeans, a lot of your nuts like sunflower seeds, walnuts, Brazil nuts, hickory nuts, hazelnuts, a lot of your nuts as well as your meat. And so you have a lot of different types of proteins. The proteins really easily digest with a vegetable. Your starches easily digest with a vegetable. However, your proteins and starches, if you are having a digestion problem especially, have a difficult time digesting at the same time because they need different acids to come into the stomach to digest those. And so a lot of times that acid will come into the stomach and store the other one and get that, and sometimes it doesn't come out of storage, so you get a big tummy. So anyway, so to food combine, it really helps you. The other things is some of these need some fats and oils with it also. So the other thing is fruits. Fruits generally should be eaten separately. And melons should be eaten even separately than fruit. Melons, I've always heard the adage for melons, eat it alone or leave it alone. So, because they take a totally different way to digest in your stomach. Now, all of these are controversial because they have proven that your stomach can multitask, like I said at the very beginning. But the situation is, if you have a digestion problem, these are very good tips for you because I've had so many people who have gotten better with their tummy aches and stuff because they've done food combinations. So fruit alone, melons, eat it alone or leave it alone, starches with vegetables or proteins with vegetables, but not to combine them all. The other thing is water. We really shouldn't be consuming too much water during our meal because water takes something totally different and it dilutes the stomach acid that actually helps to digest your food, and you need that stomach acid. You need the stomach acid to be digesting and putting it where it belongs and taking care of your food, and the water dilutes it. So I know sometimes you need a little bit of water to swallow whatever food you have. So taking a little sip here and there is still good and still wonderful. But your majority of your water, you should drink half of your body weight in ounces every day of water. So just water. This isn't fruit juice and all these other things. Just water. Water should be, and there's different types of water that are really delicious and good for you that are alkaline. But water is important, half your body weight. So if you weigh 200 pounds, then you should drink 100 ounces a day. That's half your body weight in ounces. If you weigh 100 pounds, you should drink 50 ounces of water a day, and double it if you're sick. If you're sick and they said increase your water, that means your entire body weight in ounces in water every day, separate from meals. So your meals, just tiny itty bitty sips. But the rest of your food, you can go ahead and eat and have your stomach acid digesting everything, and then drink your water a half an hour later or a half an hour before. If you drink it a half an hour before, your water is going through your system and helps kind of clean everything out so that you can eat, and then the digestion happens. So just knowing a few things of how your body works really kind of helps. Also, massaging your stomach at night. Start at the back and go forward and all the way down. Start at the back, go forward and all the way down. And that also helps to any of the storage areas where your digestion didn't fully get digested and has stored in your back or has stored in your front. If you massage your stomach from the back all the way down in the front, that is good. And oxygen is very important. Now, oxygen, deep breathing, oxygen helps carry all of your blood throughout your system. And so oxygen is very important. That's why we exercise for that deep breathing, or you should do deep breathing when you stretch at night before you go to bed and before you get up, and when you get up in the morning, not before you get up, but when you get up in the morning, you should stretch with some deep breathing, and that helps your mobility a little bit. Of course, I believe that we should have a lot of supplements. Supplements are important because our food is so mineral deficient because our soil is mineral deficient. And so minerals are a very important supplementation that we should have. Of course, after 40, I believe you should have a collagen supplement, which of course I sell, so I'm very partial to that. But it's important that you have supplements to help your diet along because of our foods many times are mineral deficient. So mineral supplements are very important. And the other thing is for your oxygen, another thing about your oxygen, diet sodas and sodas. Soda pop, well, my models, every time I had a model, I tell them two things. Get off chips and crackers and anything that's processed like that, and get off soda pop or any carbonated drinks, because the carbonation in the drink robs your bloodstream of oxygen. So it actually takes oxygen out of your bloodstream, so therefore everything's not moving along as good as it can. When you're younger, you can handle it, a little bit, but as you get older, it's going to catch up with you. It always does. And so if it's also very acidic, the carbonation drinks are very acidic, and so what happens is it takes 32 amounts of alkalinity to combat one acidic part. So if you have one soda pop that's maybe this big, you need 32 of that alkalinity in your system to counteract it. That's a lot. People don't even have that many portions of food. I mean, it's really hard to alkalize your body that much. So 32. The diet sodas, the sugar or the sweetener is worse for you than sugar. And in the big gulps, in the big sodas, there's 40 teaspoons of sugar in that. So be realizing how bad that is for your system. If you put a rusty spoon or fork into a Coke, it eats it away. Can you imagine what it does to the lining in your stomach? Luckily, God gave us a self-healing body, and our lining is replaced every 24 hours. But you're hurting yourself by doing that, because your body could be repairing a shoulder, arm, wrist, something else that it needs to repair instead of that stomach lining. So be wise with your choices and you will be healthy. And let's have a great, wonderful, healthy summer. Give me, I would love to hear your comments. Any dieting tips you have, anything you have discovered. I am a learner. I learn Every day, every day, every day, anything that you've learned, make sure that you share with me on this comment, because I would love to learn it also. Thank you so much.